Dr. Elias Carter had seen death before. He had watched soldiers bleed out on the operating table, had lost patients to incurable diseases, and had fought to keep fragile lives from slipping away. But nothing, compared to this moment. The Queen of the Viarine Empire, the ruler of a civilization spanning 12 star systems, lay dying before him. And there was nothing he could do. The plea for a miracle. It had started with an urgent summons. The Galactic Concordia's Emergency Medical Response Division had sent out a distress call, requesting the best human physician available for a mission of utmost importance. Dr. Carter had responded. He was given no details. No briefing. Just coordinates and a countdown timer. By the time he reached the Viarine homeworld, it was already too late. The Queen's vital signs were failing. Her advisors, tall insectoid beings with shimmering golden exoskeletons, pleaded with him. "She is our lifeline," one of them whispered, voice trembling. "If she dies, the Empire dies with her." Carter swallowed hard. What happened? A Viarine noble stepped forward, his mandibles clicking anxiously. "Poison. A toxin unknown to our healers. Our technology cannot counteract it. We were told that humans have unique biology. A cure where none should exist." Carter was skeptical. The Viarine had some of the most advanced medicine in the galaxy. If they couldn't save her, what made them think he could? But then he looked at the Queen. Her breathing was ragged. Her golden carapace had dimmed, her vibrant crest was wilting, and her veins pulsed with a sickly green glow, a telltale sign of an incurable toxin. She had hours, maybe minutes, left to live. And Carter had no time for doubts. The impossible cure. The Queen's body rejected every known antidote. Even nanomedicine, microscopic machines designed to repair cellular damage, failed to remove the toxin. Carter worked furiously, scanning her biochemistry, cross-referencing every piece of medical knowledge humanity had discovered since reaching the stars. Nothing worked. No. Her blood reacted to his. Carter had sliced open his palm accidentally, the scalpel slipping in his exhaustion. A single drop of human blood landed on the scanner. And the monitors lit up. The toxin was breaking down. At first he thought it was an error. But no. The human blood was acting as a biological solvent, breaking apart the toxin molecule by molecule. The Viarine healers gasped. "It's neutralizing the poison." A chilling realization hit Carter like a freight train. This isn't a natural toxin. Something, or someone, had created it. Designed it to be incurable. But whoever engineered this bioweapon had made one fatal mistake. They had never accounted for human blood. A choice with consequences. There was no time to test theories. If Carter was right, his blood could save the Queen. But it wasn't as simple as a transfusion. Human and Viarine biology were vastly different. Mixing the wrong elements could kill her instantly. Carter had to take a risk. With trembling hands, he extracted a sample of his own plasma, isolated the critical components, and injected them into the Queen's failing body. For several agonizing seconds, nothing happened. The Queen gasped. Her body shuddered, the toxic glow fading from her veins. Her carapace brightened, her antennae twitched, and her fingers curled into a fist. The impossible had happened. Dr. Elias Carter had just brought an alien queen back from the brink of death. And in doing so, he had just revealed the greatest secret in the galaxy. The Queen of the Viarine Empire should have been dead. And yet, she sat upright, her golden eyes locked onto Dr. Elias Carter. Her advisors stared in stunned silence. The entire chamber, filled with Viarine nobles, alien scientists, and elite guards, was utterly motionless. Because something impossible had just happened. The Queen had not just been cured, she was stronger than before. And that terrified everyone. A cure too powerful. Carter felt the weight of 100 alien eyes on him. His medical instincts told him to check her vitals, run tests, confirm that the recovery was real. But there was no need. The Queen's carapace gleamed like polished gold, her mandibles clicked with renewed strength, and her antennae flickered with heightened sensory awareness. She wasn't just healed. She had been enhanced. The Viarine noble from earlier stepped forward cautiously. "Your blood did this?" His voice was barely a whisper. Carter swallowed hard. I don't know how. But yes, I think so." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. "Impossible. Human blood? How? No species can do this." The Queen raised a hand and the chamber fell silent. She turned to Carter. "Doctor, what did you do to me?" Carter exhaled. "I extracted parts of my own plasma. Enzymes, proteins, immune cells. Somehow they didn't just counteract the poison. They adapted. They changed you. Her gaze intensified. Then tell me, human, why does your blood contain the genetic markers of the first ones? The entire room froze. Carter blinked. The what? The Queen's advisors looked at him with a mixture of reverence and fear. The first ones, she said, voice barely above a whisper. The progenitors. The architects of the stars. The gods. Carter's stomach dropped. What the hell had he just uncovered? The ancient genome. Within minutes, the Queen's elite scientists swarmed the medical scanners. They analyzed Carter's blood with a level of precision that no human technology could match. The results? Unbelievable. Human DNA contained sequences that were billions of years old, traces of an ancient genome that predated every known species in the galaxy. More than that, it matched the rumored genetic imprint of the first ones. The gods. The beings said to have seeded the stars before recorded history. The Queen looked at Carter with something that sent chills down his spine. You are their descendant, she said. The last remnants of a forgotten empire. Carter shook his head. That's ridiculous. Humanity has no record of the first ones. We evolved on Earth just like any other species. The Queen leaned forward. Are you sure? Carter felt a cold dread settle in his chest. Because suddenly he wasn't. A secret kept from humanity. The Viarine Queen wasted no time. She ordered her scholars to cross-reference ancient records, relics, carvings, genetic archives left behind by long-dead civilizations. The results sent a shockwave through the palace. There were references to humanity, not by name, but by description. Tales of a species that had once stood at the center of the galaxy, masters of creation and destruction. A species that had vanished. Until now. Carter rubbed his temple. If this is true, why doesn't humanity know about it? The Queen's gaze darkened. Because someone erased you. The chamber fell into stunned silence. Carter's mind raced. If the Queen was right, if humanity had once been part of something greater, who had wiped them from history? And more importantly, why? But before he could speak, a Viarine warrior rushed into the chamber. His voice was panicked. Your Majesty, we have incoming warships, unknown origin. The Queen's mandibles tightened. Carter turned toward the scanners. The ships weren't Viarine. They weren't from the Concordia. And they weren't human. Which left only one possibility. Someone had been watching. And now they were coming to silence the truth, forever. The warships arrived in silence. No hailing frequencies. No demands. No warnings. Just the cold, unrelenting advance of death. Dr. Elias Carter stood beside the Viarine Queen, staring at the holographic display of the enemy fleet. Sleek, black vessels moved like shadows, absorbing light rather than reflecting it. Even before the scans finished, Carter knew. These were the ones who had erased humanity from history. And now they had come to erase him too. The forgotten enemy. The Viarine fleet moved to intercept, their golden-hulled battleships forming defensive lines around the palace's planetary shields. But the Queen did not look relieved. She turned to one of her advisors. Who are they? The elder Viarine warrior hesitated before answering. We do not know, Your Majesty. The word sent a chill through the chamber. The Viarine Empire had ruled 12 star systems for centuries. They had fought every known faction in the galaxy. But these ships? They were not in any records. Carter felt a sickening sense of familiarity. Because that was exactly what had happened to humanity. The Queen's gamble. Carter clenched his fists. They're coming for me. The Queen glanced at him, her golden eyes unreadable. You are the key to something greater, Dr. Carter. If they have hidden the past, they will not allow it to resurface. She was right. These ships weren't just here to kill him. They were here to silence the truth. Carter's blood, human blood, had been the first crack in a deception that had lasted for millennia. And now, the ones who had erased his ancestors were trying to finish the job. The Queen straightened her posture. Then we will not let them. She turned to her generals. Prepare the planetary defense grid. Signal our allies. We stand and fight. But Carter's instinct screamed against it. This wasn't a battle they could win. The war already lost. The Viarine fired first. Golden beams of ionized energy lanced across the void, striking the intruder fleet dead center. Nothing happened. The beams vanished, swallowed by the enemy ships like they had never existed. The Queen's warriors stared in horror. The enemy vessels did not slow, did not respond. They simply kept coming. Carter's breath hitched. That's not shielding. That's something else. The lead enemy vessel reached the Viarine battle lines. And then, the entire Viarine front line disappeared. Not destroyed. Not damaged. Gone. One moment they were there. The next, space was empty. Carter felt a chill deeper than fear. They're not fighting a war. The Queen turned to him. Then what are they doing? His voice was barely above a whisper. They're erasing it. And just like that he understood. These weren't conquerors. They weren't invaders. They were custodians of a false history. And Carter, by saving the Queen, by proving humanity's ancient origins, had made himself a target. They had come to delete him. The escape plan. The Queen reacted instantly. All forces fall back. Evacuate the palace. Secure the doctor at all costs. Carter barely had time to process the words before Viarine warriors grabbed him, pulling him toward the hidden underground transport network. The palace shook as enemy fire hit the outer walls. Carter risked one last look at the battle in the skies above. The Viarine ships were vanishing by the dozens. They weren't just losing. They were being removed from reality. He turned back to the Queen. We can't stay here. The Queen nodded. We must reach the archive. Carter frowned. What archive? Her golden eyes burned with intensity. The last piece of truth in the galaxy. Carter didn't argue. Because if these unknown enemies were willing to wipe out entire civilizations just to bury the past, then whatever truth lay in that archive was worth more than his life. It was worth everything. And so they ran. Dr. Elias Carter ran. The Viarine Queen ran beside him. Behind them the sky burned. The unknown enemy, the ones who had erased humanity's past, were now erasing the Viarine Empire. Golden-hulled battleships vanished one by one, consumed by the silent void. No wreckage. No explosions. Just pure annihilation. And Carter knew, if they were caught they would cease to exist. Not just in the present. They would be erased from time itself. A desperate flight. The underground transit system beneath the royal palace was ancient, older than the Viarine Empire itself. The Queen moved with urgency, guiding Carter and her warriors through the twisting tunnels. Carter's breath came in short bursts. This archive, what exactly is it? The Queen did not slow. It is the last unaltered record in the galaxy. She glanced at him, golden eyes intense. If your ancestors were erased, the archive will tell us why. A deep, primal instinct settled in Carter's gut. He wasn't just fighting for survival. He was fighting for the truth. The last refuge of the past. The tunnels ended at a massive vault door, etched with symbols that predated any known civilization. Viarine warriors rushed ahead, activating security protocols. With a deep, mechanical groan, the vault slid open. Inside, Carter gasped. Rows upon rows of stasis-locked data cores. Holographic tablets. Fragments of dead languages etched onto stone slabs. This was no ordinary archive. This was history unfiltered, unchanged, uncensored. The truth of humanity. The Queen strode forward, activating the central interface. A massive hologram flickered to life. A swirling galaxy mapped with precision far beyond modern standards. The stars shifted. Time reversed. The galaxy's borders redrew themselves, revealing ancient empires long forgotten. And at the center, a vast, sprawling empire of humanity. Not primitive. Not struggling. A galactic superpower. Carter's breath hitched. We ruled? The Queen nodded. Your kind once stood above all others. The hologram continued shifting. Then without warning, the human empire collapsed. No war. No catastrophe. Deletion. Entire star systems vanished. A civilization erased as though it had never existed. And Carter realized, this was the same fate awaiting the Viarine. The architects of erasure. The Queen's mandibles clenched. It is them. The enemy fleet, the ones erasing the Viarine, had done the same to humanity. And now Carter knew why. The hologram zoomed in on a single entity. A faction without a name. Without a homeworld. Just a singular purpose. The architects, the Queen said. The keepers of balance. The ones who decide who is allowed to exist. Carter's stomach twisted. They pick winners and losers? The Queen's gaze darkened. No. They erase threats. Carter's pulse pounded. Humanity had been too powerful. Too unpredictable. So the architects had removed them. And now, because of his blood, because of the Queen's survival, they knew the truth had resurfaced. And they would not allow it. The vault trembled. Outside the enemy had arrived. Time was up. The last stand. Carter's mind raced. There was no winning this battle. But there was still a way to fight. He turned to the Queen. Can this archive be transmitted? The Queen's warriors hesitated. Across light years? Impossible. Carter clenched his jaw. Not if we send it the same way it was buried. The Queen's eyes widened as she understood. Not as data, but as genetic memory. The same way Carter's blood had carried the secrets of the past. The Queen's voice was firm. Then we encode the truth into ourselves. Carter stepped forward. And we run. A race against oblivion. The warriors activated the archive's last function, a sequence designed to implant history into genetic markers. Within seconds, the knowledge of humanity's lost empire was rewritten into their DNA. No digital records. No files to erase. The truth would live inside them. Passed down generation after generation. The vault doors shattered. The architects stormed in. But Carter and the Queen were already gone. Epilogue, a spark reignited. The Viarine Empire was no more. But the Queen survived. Dr. Elias Carter survived. And in their blood, the truth endured. Because history could be rewritten. But not forever. And one day the architects would learn. You cannot erase humanity forever. Because humanity always finds a way back. Fire enjoyed this? Subscribe to The Void Narratives for more epic sci-fi stories. Rocket.